What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two for Two, your sports podcast for the culture, by the voices of the culture. I'm your host, Keith, and I'm always, damn, I fucked
You
up. I
didn't
ain't
even
did that.
mess up. You just said, damn.
But I know that's not what I normally say.
What do you normally say?
And I'm back on the pod with my brother always. I just skipped the back on the pod part.
I don't think it has to be perfect
Yeah,
every
but
single
I couldn't
time.
even, what was I going to say after that?
You was about to say it. I'm always here with my brother Nell. And then you
I
just
was.
said, after you said and, you just said, damn. I'm just like,
All right, you're right. Thinking too much about it. You've only done this a billion times. All right, 3, 2, Mark clip. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two for Two, your sports podcast for the culture, by the voices of the culture. I'm your host, Keith, and I'm back on the pod today with my brother Nell. As always, we got another one for you guys today, man. It's season 4, episode 38. It's a really good one. Let's get it. My guy, I don't know if it's good to
what's going
see
on,
you
man?
today. It's always good to see you, but I don't know if I want to see you. This weekend was interesting. And we've landed here yet again.
Told you
What's
we'd
up?
be waiting for you.
What's up? What's up, man? It's crazy, man. We made it. We're on to the second round of the NBA playoffs, folks, man, and we've got yet another Knicks Sixers series on the pod this year, man. It was, you know, all signs pointed to this. It would only be right? It'd only be right. The Bucks and the Cowboys can't handle their business, right? So you don't really see that matchup often, if ever, right? But the Sixers and the Knicks, they
But
get
when
it
you
right.
do, you know what's going down.
I have a couple different memories of those games, but y'all won a few. Um,
I got some,
but yeah,
I got
but yeah,
solid enough memories from those games.
yeah. No, I mean it's an interesting series, and so is this one. But we're gonna get to that one in just a little. We gotta get to how we got here. Sixers 3-1 comeback on the Boston Celtics. I mean, you're the guy. Tell me, I mean, obviously you got to be excited to be here, but 3-1. Did you think it was happening? I mean, what you got to say, man?
Yeah, obviously, I owe Embiid and the Sixers an apology. I was writing their eulogy after they went down 3-1. Did not expect this turnaround at all. Um, I thought maybe it was time to maybe end the Embiid era. That first game back was not looking good. Obviously, Boston was, hitting on all cylinders. Tatum was, hitting daggers. They were knocking down threes. It was not good. Lost both games at home. So I mean, the vibes were extremely low. And then for him to go on the road and be down 13 in the second half and come back and win that game. Um, it's very, very shocking. And then obviously to take care of business in game 6 and then go back on the road to win 3 games in Boston. I think that's the most shocking thing for me. And this entire comeback is just to win 3 games in Boston is just incredible. I think I saw a stat that they had only won 3 games in Boston in the playoffs between like 1982 until now. All their series that they played against the Celtics, they've only won in Boston 3 times in those series. So to win 3 times in one series was just insane. Uh, shout out to Maxey who scored the biggest buckets in Game 7 down the stretch, and that was the difference. I think in previous playoff matchups. You see him be, banged up, obviously still coming back from that surgery. He was obviously tired and gassed at the end of that fourth quarter. And, Maxey kind of got pushed into his knee a couple of times. But for Maxey to, be able to take over and have him be kind of just take a couple plays off and have the trust in Maxey to come up big on a couple of offensive possessions to push the lead. I think we were up 1 and back-to-back buckets to push us up 5. So, can't believe it happened. First time beating Boston in a playoff series in my lifetime. It's incredible. Great feeling. Only the first round, but I mean, sad to say, it's probably the greatest moment as a Sixers fan in my lifetime. I wasn't, too locked into the Sixers in 2001, but since then, this is, I think, by far the biggest moment. I'm just happy for Embiid to, finally have a signature playoff moment and win. First game 7 win, 30-10 in the Garden. Just a proud Sixers fan right now. That's all I can say. Just proud.
Yeah, yeah, definitely interesting. I mean, definitely, so a surprise. just the way the series looked, like you said, it looked all but over. But you pulled it out. Very resilient. Very resilient group. I'll withhold some of my thoughts on you all as a team to when we talk about the Knicks and the Sixers series. But I mean, dang, for Boston, looking back, it's like, wow, um, how did this happen? That starting five, I texted you. I mean, that should
Yeah,
never be.
Joe, he just wanted some sympathy after the game, so everybody could. And I saw it too. I just like people were just like, "Oh, look who they had on the court. They just had no chance." Like that's exactly what he wanted y'all to think. He wanted y'all to
Right.
think that it had no chance, even though he had minus Tatum. That's the same group of players that won 43 out of the first 66 games they played without him, and were top two, top three in the East. So obviously not having Tatum was huge for them, but yeah, that team was cooked. That team was cooked going into the game. So ain't all that saving face that they tried to do. Nah.
He got on that podium and was singing. But yeah, we had another 3-1 comeback as well. The Detroit Pistons, the number one seed. I mean, against the Orlando Magic. It's a team that, I mean, now, you know, they're without my guy Jamal Mosley. He's been relieved of his duties, but I mean, towards the end of that year, it was a dumpster fire, and you had absolutely no idea they'd be in the position where they were at a 3-1 lead. Cade pretty much willed Detroit, to this comeback. What are your thoughts on that one, man?
Yeah, got to give tons of credit to Cade. Superstar in the making. Didn't play great in the first 4 games, but over those last three, 3 straight 30-point games, had a 45-point game in between that, and just made big play after big play. Obviously, they had the huge comeback in Game 6. And then Mr. Professional Tobias Harris, got to give him some love.
Dirty.
Uh, don't hear that from me often. I'll be the first Sixers fan to apologize. I didn't think he had that kind of game in him in a pressure situation like Game 7. He stepped up for that team when nobody else did offensively, especially Duran and Sarr kind of struggled offensively, and he was that second option. That second outlet for Cade on the offensive end, and he exploded in Game 7. Had 17 in the second quarter, 30 for the game. By far his the best playoff game I've ever seen him play. So just big credit to those guys. Coming back and winning this series. It's going to be an interesting one against the Cavs next round, but yeah, they got it done. Orlando. Yeah, I mean they were right to fire their head coach. It was justified. You blow a lead like that in Game 6. So I mean it was earned.
Yes, you won, man.
Yeah, I was surprised that they were up 3-1. We talked, even after the Sixers playing game, we thought that team was, getting ready for the offseason. Cancun, they already talked about, the coach being fired no matter what happens in the playoffs, even before he even got a playoff seed. So, I mean, that the writing was on the wall, especially after blowing a 3-1 lead. So, yeah, history repeats itself.
Yeah, definitely sick, but cool for Pistons, man. I'm a little worried about them, but they pulled it off 3-1. I mean, that's a spot, a team, especially for a team like Detroit, where a lot of the talk is, well, how many guys have played in a Game 7, right? How many guys have playoff experience? This, and that. So, I mean, for some of those guys, their first playoff experience, or well, I guess last year they were here too, but as the one seed, to have your back against the wall, your star, um, you know, coming back from a collapsed lung, he's playing with the crazy pad on his side to make sure he's cool, and to come back and win that. Especially the way, I mean, outside of that Game 6 was ugly, but I mean, Paolo had a hell of a series for Orlando. He played really well. I mean, they got some good minutes from Desmond Bain, from Wendell Carter, so it was good for the Pistons to come back and take care of business. But we also had another series where we had the Cavs advancing 7 against the Toronto Raptors, a team that I told you last year I was a year early. A year early. I told you they had some fight in them, and they took them to 7, gave them all they had. But what are your thoughts on that one?
Um, don't really take too much away from it other than James Harden and Donovan Mitchell got to play a lot better if they want to advance to the conference finals against the Pistons. They didn't play great, but they supporting cast, and they did enough to win when it was required. Still waiting for that breakout game from Donovan Mitchell. But they had a big third quarter in that game seven. It was looking rough in that first half, but closed the half on a pretty good run to tie the game up, and then kind of exploded in the second quarter and the third quarter, and pretty much ran away with it. Like I said, the Raptors, excuse me, had a decent year. I don't think a lot of people expected them to be the fifth seed. Um, you know, uh, Brandon Ingram missed most of the series. Quickly missed most of the series. So, Scotty Barnes, I think, definitely showed people the kind of talent and potential that he has. Still a young player, growing, getting better. So, I mean, I mean, Toronto isn't scaring me. I don't think they're like next up or anything in the East, but I've got a collection of good players, and we'll see if Scotty Barnes can take that next leap.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it. A lot of my criticism here is, more so to, Cleveland. I kind of just feel like, all things considered, for that series to go to seven, they do not move me whatsoever. But I did want to, give Scotty Barnes his props, right? I know me and Walt have had a lot of conversations about him and his talent, and I felt like he had been being held back or holding himself back. I thought that what he showed in this playoff series is the Scotty Barnes that I am hopeful will be on full time display. The defensive versatility and able to run. You said quickly was out. Quick didn't play all series. The way he was able to run the team, he played the one in a sense, next to Jamal Shed, right? The way he shot the ball, all those things, really good, for them. So, the Cavs will take it, obviously, right? Hey, you're gonna take the win. You're gonna win the series, move on to the next one. It's a whole new ball game now, right? Everything you just did, you throw it away. Um, but shout out to Toronto. Good on them. They got some guys that they need to develop. I was watching him and I was like, why Grady Dick just sitting there on the bench? Like, he was a lottery pick, what, 2 years ago? Like, that's crazy. You just see guys and you watching Jamal Shed, who was not a lottery pick, right? And I'm pretty sure it was in that same draft. Jacoby Walter in that same draft or around the same time. So just interesting to see how some things work out in the NBA. But um, talking about the 3-1s, right? Which one do you think is more disappointing though for you? Right? You have Boston, we had Orlando. Which one are you like? Mm,
It's easy for me to say Boston, especially with them being favorites to come out the East by a lot of people in the media, uh, and as bad as they played over the last three games, they could talk about the way they shot the three, uh, their reliance on the 3-point shot, but nothing, and I mean nothing compares to that travesty that took place in Game Six in Orlando. Um, I was getting ready to do this pod, and I was doing some notes at about 9 a.m. And I was shocked that the news hadn't come out that he was fired yet. Um, you can't lose that game at home. Up 22 at halftime, you come out. I think they went 45 total minutes without a field goal.
yeah, a
Missed
bucket.
23 straight shots. That type of stuff is just unexplainable, inexcusable. So everybody's got to be held accountable for that one. He shouldn't be the only player going out of there. I think Desmond Bain was the only player to shoot over 40% from three in that series. Just not a lot of offensive production, and obviously they lost Franz Wagner, and that kind of hurt them a bit offensively, but they were struggling offensively, in all those games. Even in some of the wins, they still weren't cracking 100. So, Paolo showed up big time in Game Seven, um, but he needs some more help. Really think they could use a dynamic point guard, somebody to help them, set up the offense. Obviously, they could use a ton more shooting. So we'll see what they do this year. But having the one seed on the ropes like that, being up 22 in your gym, and just I think they scored 19 points or 11 points, something like that, in total in the second half. That just can't happen. That just can't happen.
Yeah, I mean, that was a disappointing game, but I think because of the fact that we didn't expect him to be there, I'm rolling with that Boston series, right? I mean, I'm a fan of Tyrese Maxey, of Joel Embiid, VJ Edgecombe. Like, the Sixers have players that, like, you can make it. I don't want to say I'm surprised that it was a series, but like, for you to be up 3-1, right? Embiid is fighting on that floor with injuries. like you said it earlier, man, this is the same team that without Tatum was number 2 in the East. You played much of your year with Jaylen Brown as the guy. Cool. And then to go out there to be where you were 3-1 and lose it. You said what? Y'all beat them what 3 times you beat them 3 times in Boston. Like that's just crazy, right? Like they were the odds-on favorite. You had enough. What's the deal? You know what I'm saying? What's the deal? So like for me, that we had people want Jaylen Brown in the MVP conversation. That's what you wanted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to come out there in that moment, and I think part of me is getting mad because I'm seeing his face on that Twitch yesterday again in my head. Well, yeah, just flat out disappointing. The Magic, they were lucky to be there, happy to be there. And the Sky, I mean, Game 6 was a real
Once you're there, you're there.
Yeah,
once you got a 22-point lead, you got a 22-point lead. You got to close that out.
You do.
You got to close that out.
You do. But if you're Boston, you're the 2 seed, right? You got home court. The Magic still had to go play in Game 7 in Detroit.
Yeah,
once you lost Game 6, you lost your own.
They started Gonzalez and Ron Harper Jr. So we gotta give them a little bit of sympathy there.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out why, because that was not the 5.
That's why, for the sympathy.
That was not the 5 all season when
and they played 4 minutes and then didn't get back on the court.
Like, come on.
He just wanted a little sympathy.
That was
he said, look at this starting 5 and look at our starting 5. There's no way we can win this. That's all he wanted to do.
I remember when I got the Fantasy Labs tweet notification. I said, what is? I said, wait, who else is out? What's going on? Like, Nikola Vucevic, you trade for him in the middle of the year. DNP in Game 7.
And I told you when that trade went down, I said I like the move for Boston, but if I was being honest, I like it as far as a matchup with the Sixers because I felt like if Embiid is healthy and we match up against Boston, I felt like this time they didn't have the bigs to match up with Embiid. There was no Al Horford. There is no Robert Williams. There is no Kristaps. There's nothing that you could do to guard Embiid. They just did not have enough. And yeah, Vucevic turned out to be a pretty bad pickup for them. So
yeah. So, but it is what it is. But both of them disappointing. You
blowing a 3-point lead is a 3-1 lead is. So can't get any worse than that. Well, 3-0 would get worse than that. That's why nobody's ever done it. It's impossible. But
and while we on the topic of the teams that won the Game 7s, right? Who is more likely to come out of the East? You got Detroit, Cleveland, and they all.
It's a tough one. Sixers have the toughest path to come out the East. The Pistons and the Cavs, I don't like the way that they looked in that first round. But granted, one of them is going to be in the conference finals. So one of them has a pretty decent chance. I think the Sixers are going to face the best team left in the East. And if they do get past the Knicks, then I think they can take Detroit or Cleveland for sure. But just based off that, I think Detroit got a little bit of its magic back. But I'll go Philly right now because I'm really down on Detroit's offense, and I still need to see a lot more from Donovan Mitchell and James Harden to really say, and Evan Mobley, and just that entire Cavs team. I need to see them do it in a big moment for me to really trust that they can do it. By no means the Sixers haven't proven that they can do it either. All they did was win a first round series. That seems to be all that they're good for. But I do think, like I said, winning 3 games in Boston, the mental fortitude to come back from 3-1 and win these road games in Boston, I think it does say a lot about this team and their makeup and their talent. So I'll say the Sixers, but I do think the Cavs and obviously the Pistons got a better chance because one of them at least will be in the conference finals.
Fair. Maybe I'm biased to the players because I'm looking at it from a standpoint of who has the best composition of star guys that I trust. I don't trust James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. I trust Cade, but eventually that rope ends, right? Tobias, he's rising to the occasion, but I won't come out my mouth that I trust him as like your second guy to win you a championship or get you out the East, whatever. Jalen Duren, MIA, and I don't see it getting any better going against Cleveland, where they have more bigs that do the same thing as you, right? I agree with you. Philly has the hardest road because they had to play the team that is now the odds-on favorite to win yet again. So if the Sixers are able to beat the Knicks, which I don't believe will happen, obviously, right? Or I hope won't happen. I don't see there being a series between them or Detroit that is, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think y'all beat either of them, truthfully. And I mean, also, I think the Knicks beat either of them. So, long answer, shortened, you guys. But because of the simple fact that you won't come out of the East because you're not going to beat my team, I'll give it to Cleveland for now. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. It's time to get toxic. We're in the second round right now. We got 4 series in this game on. We use keys to the series and your prediction. And the first gun one that we got is Spurs Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards is in. He has exceeded all expectations on his injury timeline, and he is flat out said, I'm playing. Talk to me. Do they have a shot anyway?
I'm excited for this matchup, but before we get there, I just want to say, extremely disappointed in the Denver Nuggets. Shout out to I wasn't gonna let them off the hook. Shout out to Cat and Embiid, because I'm super excited just to have. I'm a big fan of just star matchups. So I'm excited that Cat and Embiid can match up. I really thought I was gonna get Wemby versus Jokic 7 games. Was super stoked for that. Just an MVP playoff matchup. Thought the fans deserved that, but hey, unfortunately the Timberwolves won 50 games, and that's just not something that Jokic
I do want to say
likes to handle in the playoffs.
I did have Timberwolves in what I said 7, didn't I?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I said Timberwolves.
I think you picked the Nuggets, but that's
no, I
neither here nor
didn't.
there.
No, I didn't, because you picked the Nuggets.
That's neither here nor there.
And I said I was going with Ant-Man. I said I would never go against Ant-Man.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Anyway.
Just want to point that out.
Yeah, so super disappointed in the Nuggets. Really wanted that second round matchup because personally, I think this will be another 4 or 5 game series, honestly. I think for all the reasons that I picked the Wolves to lose in the first round, I think those will come out to play in this round. You won't be hearing Jaden McDaniels call out anyone on the Spurs for not playing defense.
Yeah.
He won't. There's no Jamal Murray. There's no Jokic. There's no Cam Johnson anymore. This is Stephon Castle, Wemby, game changers on the defensive end. So they got the crew with them. Thankfully, Ant's back, so definitely should be a fun series. But I think all the things that I talked about as far as offense getting stagnant, offensive rebounding, I think a lot of pressure is going to be on the Timberwolves offense to score. We'll see if they can continue to score and get to the basket. Like I said, Nuggets perimeter defense, not very good. Obviously, once you get past that, the perimeter defense, there's no rim protection there. Jokic and Wemby, 2 different stratospheres as far as defensively and protecting the rim. So it'll be interesting to see what their offense looks like going against them. Rudy Gobert had a hell of a series. Can he do it again? He for his standards in the playoffs, he had an all-time defensive series against one of the all-time great offensive players. So we'll see if he can do it again. Somebody that he's been playing against and says has been getting buckets on him since he was 16 years old. So we'll see if he gonna let Wemby treat him like the unk that he is, or if he gonna stand up and show him what it is. So looking forward to that matchup, but I think it'll just be a lot tougher for the Wolves to score. and we'll see if their defense. I think their defense is up to the task, but we'll see if Rudy Gobert can stop Wemby. Now, if he can stop, Jokic and Wemby back-to-back series, that would definitely be an all-time case for him. I don't think anyone will be telling him to give his Depoy Awards back if he does that. So definitely look forward to it. It's a shame DiVincenzo isn't playing. Like I say, you got if Mike Conley's out there and he's got to go against Fox and Castle and Harper and that three-headed guard monster lineup, like those are all bad brothers, and at least one of them is gonna have in any given game. One of them is gonna have a great game, a good to great game. So that backcourt is tough to deal with. They make shots. Obviously, Wemby is an MVP candidate, and I expect him to deliver an MVP type performance against Rudy Gobert. So I'm gonna take the Spurs in 5.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I like all that. That's all fine. That's all dandy. I mean, it makes sense. And the way you phrased it was for the same reason I'm taking the same reason you picked the Nuggets to beat them. This could be the same reason I feel like the Timberwolves can beat the Spurs in this series. Now, I'm a little worried about Ant's health. Obviously, I think if he's playing, he's obviously got to be in good enough shape to play. I mean, he's young, right? I mean, he's tough as nails. We've seen that. Um, and with that, like I think they can really take down the Spurs in this one, man. I think they have a shot. They beat them twice this season. Ant had a 55-point game. Wemby also had a crazy scoring night against them as well. So we've got. I think the blueprint is there. They're gonna have to be tough. Like you got to play tough against this team, right? You got to be able to make enough shots. I think, like you said, putting out DiVincenzo being gone is gonna hurt them. They're gonna need somebody to fill that void. But I mean, I think they found the answer in that Bones Highland and Terrence Shannon duo, and I think Terrence Shannon can be a real big X factor in this series because he's a guy that matches a Castle in terms of athleticism, play style, speed, right? Like Castle's probably more athletic, but Terrence Shannon is fast. He gets downhill. The Timberwolves have figured out that he's best with the ball in his hands, and he's one of those guys. Every time we've seen him get a real chance to rock out, I mean, he's answered the bill. And then you got Anthony Edwards, who I think he's one of those guys that he has the ultimate edge. Now, you're going against another guy that I would say probably has that ultimate edge with Wemby, right? The Spurs, they have a lot going for them. They got the young core. The fans are going to be behind, and that stadium is a different animal. That environment is a different beast. But I still think something about them. They're still a little wet behind the ears. It's just not quite yet. It's just not quite. It sounds too perfect, right? And Ant's a guy. He's been to the conference chip now. What, twice, 2 times in a row? Making that up? I think 2 times in a row. I see him getting back, and I think he makes a real case. Come back. You took me out the awards this year. This year, guy. All right, bet. And I bet.
I'd be inclined to be with you if they were a little more healthy.
I feel you. But I think about what you get out of DiVincenzo, right? A guy that can space the floor, shoot threes, make a couple hustle plays here and there. Bones Highland's going to shoot the same amount of threes from the same distance, right? You got to, it's not Devo, but you're going to get it from him. Like, can I get a little something, right? And then you got Jay McDaniels, who now has to play up. He don't gotta call nobody out by name in this series, and I'm sure the Spurs gonna check him. I know they gonna check him, and it's gonna be real spicy. But I think that the Wolves they had that energy of that team. They'll play up to you.
Isn't Dosunmu still out?
I don't know actually. Let me look real quick. I thought, but what's your point on that? Oh, it's questionable. Oh no. They say he's out as of 3 hours ago.
That's 2 pretty big pieces that are out.
It's cool.
The guy had 43 off the bench in one of the games, so
yeah, somebody else's turn. It'll be somebody else's turn. So I'm gonna go with Wolves in 7. I'm rolling with Ant. That's my new favorite. I'm not kidding. I'm going with Ant. I'm just gonna keep rocking. Somebody gonna take down the Thunder. Spurs Thunder sound good. It just won't happen yet. Speaking of the Thunder Lakers, right? The Lakers are able to fend off the Rockets without Kevin Durant. The Thunder took care of business, pretty light for them. Little warm up, tune up. The Lakers have a shot in this one, dog.
It depends. It
Oh,
it it, it
okay,
depends if
okay.
they can pull off the successful kidnapping of Shea Gilgeous Alexander. Um, maybe Chet. Um, but yeah, I see this unless Luca comes back. Yeah, this is probably over in 4. Um, look, OKC is just too good.
I don't even need J Dub.
You know,
Still in full.
the Houston's offense guarding them was one thing. They got some of the worst spacing you'll see in today's NBA. They shot a playoff worst 30% from 3 in the first round. So now you get to play OKC, who led the first round in 3-point makes per game, second in attempts. So the Lakers are gonna have to be much better at defending in space. You won't be able to clog the paint as much as you did against Houston. We know how bad of a matchup this is for the Lakers. None of the games in the regular season were close. It's a young team that gets up and down. They're elite on both ends. They got depth. There's no matchup for Shea. Even with Luka there, there's nobody on the Lakers that even has a chance to stay in front of Shea and stay out of foul trouble. I find it hard to see this going more than 5. LeBron's been incredible this postseason. Give him a ton of credit. Maybe he can get them one. But the Lakers average 17 turnovers a game versus the Rockets. If they do that versus OKC, this is
40.
over in 4, and it'll be an ugly 4.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I mean, I don't think that's, a surprise to anybody. I don't know. If somebody has the Lakers over the Thunder in this series, I would be very curious to hear, you know, where that's coming from. Like you said, LeBron is amazing, right? Like all time great, like yes. But this is a different beast. Like this team's gonna swarm them. I mean, you're gonna have Lou Dort biting at your ankles. They can put somebody else biting at your ankles. Right? They're gonna sub him out. You got Alex Caruso biting at your ankles, Kassan Wallace biting at your ankles. You talked about the turnovers for the Lakers. It's gonna be hard for them to score. It's gonna be a lot of late possessions where guys taking very tough shots to get baskets off. I don't think they'll be able to really keep them from running, keep them uh, and they definitely won't be able to stop Shea, right? Like I don't even know. Marcus Smart is going to foul out. He's going to foul out a lot, right? He's gonna fall into the game. He's going to think he's outclassing Shea with this, veteran savvy that he does have. And I mean, I give him credit. Good on him. But like you said, it's just a different beast, man. It's a different beast, and that's just not even counting Jalen Williams. Not even talking about Chet Holmgren, right? Like they're too complete, and the Lakers are just in a very, very, very unfortunate situation. No Luca, Reeves just coming back, and LeBron is unfortunately out 3 years away, 3 years out of where you might be able to say he can probably he can carry you to maybe 2 or 3, right? He can get you one. I think LeBron could get him one. But even that is gonna require a bad night from the Thunder, right? Like they just don't have those too often, right? They just don't. So good luck is over info. Back to the East though, we got Pistons, we got the Cavs, 2 teams that just came out of Game Sevens. The NBA is not doing these teams any favors with the schedule either. I mean, what y'all played was Sunday, or y'all play Saturday, you get Sunday
Saturday.
off, and then boom, Monday. Then we play Monday, Wednesday. Like you're getting the night of rest. So we in it now.
Happens. It's
But
playoffs.
Pistons Cavs, this one's gonna be interesting. Where you going?
I like the Cavs in this one. I'll take the Cavs in 6. But I think the key to the series will be Jalen Duren. He has to play better. I don't think anyone believes that the Cavs played their best ball in that first round. Definitely got to give the Raptors credit for pushing them to 7, but Donovan Mitchell and James Harden didn't really have breakout star performances that we expect of them. I think Donovan Mitchell shot just 43%. That's first round isn't terrible, but James averaged 20, shot 45%, which isn't bad, but we just haven't really seen them make that impact that we've seen Cade make, that we've seen Maxey and Embiid make, that we've seen Brunson and Cat make. Just the stars, leading the stars. Jared Allen had, probably the best performance in Game 7 with his 22 and 19. Evan Mobley's been, up and down, had a 25 and 10 game, in, crucial game 6, but then had the big turnover that led to, RJ Barrett's, game winning three. With all that being said, they still averaged 111 points per game, made 13 threes, and the Pistons, just barely averaged over 100, averaged 102, made under 10 threes a game. They're going to have to score. It can't just be Cade and Tobias. Will you be able to rely on Tobias for, 20 a game in the next round? It's wishful thinking. I didn't think he could do what he did in the first round, but, we'll see if it happens. But, even if Cade and Tobias can keep this up offensively, Asar and Duncan Robinson and Jalen Duren, they've got to come along too. Because like I say, even with the Cavs struggling, they still can put up points. Merrill can hit threes, Strus can hit threes, Mobley, if he's hot, he's knocking down threes. Yeah, him and Jared Allen. Obviously, I think Donovan Mitchell is going to end up, having a breakout game here sooner or later. James Harden's been, pretty steady. So I mean, they're still going to have to find ways to score. That first round against Orlando showed, I mean, pretty much gave a blueprint on this Detroit offense. There's not much, Cade had to have 45 one game. He had to have 30 in 3 straight. Like, he has to play elite, and he has to do a lot on offense for, this Pistons team to have a chance. And it might end up being too much, as, with this Cavs team, like they've got a lot of guys. It's up to Harden and Donovan Mitchell ultimately to show up and play. But, you still have, Mobley and Allen and Strus and all these guys, Wade, guys coming off the bench hitting threes. So, they've got some depth, and, they can knock down some shots. So it'll be interesting to see, how Detroit finds a way to score in the series. I do think it's a better matchup for them than Orlando. I think Orlando has a lot of guys that get after it defensively, guys with good size. You don't really have that in Cleveland outside of, their front court with, Mobley and Allen. But I'm gonna go with the Cavs in 6.
Oh, okay, that's crazy. That's good. I mean, I'm on the same wavelength. I don't, from the simple fact that I just don't think Cade realistically will be able to shoulder this load by himself for much longer, right? I like, he's great. I think he'll still get his number. I still think he gets his marks. But I mean, like you said, the Cavs, if nothing else, they can score the ball. I mean, they're deep. You didn't even mention Dennis Schroeder, who comes in and he gives them another edge as well, right? You talk about Donovan Mitchell hasn't played well, and I still think he was averaging 30 at home, at least in the last series. So, that's something that if he gets going, you're in trouble. I mean, James Harden hasn't looked like himself. I said, I hate to put trust into those guys. But I mean, I also definitely, like I said, I definitely don't trust Tobias Harris. I definitely don't trust Jalen Duren to be able to carry the load, especially against a team that can match up a little bit better with them on the wings, right? Jared Allen on Duren, you could put Evan Mobley on Tobias. A lot of people don't know Tobias Harris is huge. Like he's a 6'10" wing, like 280 almost. Like dude's huge, but you can put Evan Mobley on him with some length. It's good size as well to maybe guard him. I'll be curious to see who they use to defend Cade Cunningham. Anyway, you know who it ain't gonna be. It ain't gonna be Donovan Mitchell or James Harden, right? So if based off of everything else I said, that puts Dean Wade in an interesting situation. Is that the answer? Probably not. But either way, like if Duncan Robinson can't hit shots, and I don't know, I love him, but I feel like every time I watch him play, he's like 1 for 7. Off the bench, they don't really have much shooting, right? They got the guy Donis Jenkins who kind of saved them in game 7 because he hit 4 threes, right? So I just don't think that the Pistons will have enough to go into another series like this against a team that, like you said, if nothing else, Donovan Mitchell and or James Harden can have a 5-minute stretch in them that can outpace probably the Pistons in total output, if you really, really think about it. So I think, you'll get a good game from James. I think he paces them. And you definitely can't fall down 3-1, if you're Detroit in this series. It'll be over. And that's with me not really trusting the Cavaliers. But I trust those guys a little bit more than I do Detroit. On to the granddaddy of them all, though. This is why you guys here. This is why you waited all this time. Knicks, Sixers. Part 2. Hopefully your boy doesn't try to stomp on my guy's knee this time. And if he does, I hope we stomp back on his knee. Knicks Sixers. I'm going to get it out the way. Knicks in 6. For these reasons. We're going to stop Embiid as best as you can. He's a walking 25 to 35. You just got to hope that it falls in between that. You can win at that. My problem is Tyrese Maxey. I'm fearful of Tyrese Maxey. I don't think the Knicks have a soul that can guard him. However, we're going to do a team aligned. We're going to have a little bit of Mikal, a little bit of Josh, right? I think we're a little bit deeper, right? Outside of your 3, it gets a little wavy. And really not even your 3. I'll say outside of Maxey, Embiid. Fantastic guy. Maxey's probably going to average upwards of 30 in this series. I'm going to just call it a spade. But if we can keep VJ kind of at bay, Paul George had a hell of a game against, to help you close out. Played a great series, honestly, last series. But after that, that's when it gets to, Kelly Oubre, right? Adem Bona if he gets in. Drummond, right? Is, what's my guy's name? Bland? Not Bland. The 4. Barlow. Yeah, I like Barlow. I don't even know if he's been playing. To be honest, I ain't seen my guy like I used to see him. But I think we go.
Did not get tick in the Celtics series.
Yeah. I think we go with our 5, Mitchell Robinson healthy, ready to play. Jose coming in. Deuce McBride coming in. Shamet coming in. Clarkson coming in. I feel like we got enough guys to pace us in those stretches where Brunson's sitting and maybe y'all's bench is in with him. I don't think the bench is going to be able to do that. I don't think y'all can rebound as well as this. If we rebound the ball, which I think we'll do well, we should be able to get a lot of possessions, kill you on the offensive glass, and wear down Embiid. And from there, Cap takes us home. Knicks is 6. Tell me I'm wrong.
Are you done?
I might be, but I know you're going to say something that's going to trick me. So
I got rebound is definitely a big key to the series for me. Definitely worried about Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, those guys, menaces on the offensive glass. I didn't interrupt you, bro.
I was talking about
interrupt you your entire thing.
I was talking about
I said what I said. bro. I'm worried about Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart.
I'm gonna listen. You're right. I'm gonna listen.
4th in rebounding this postseason. They were 6th in offensive rebounding in the regular season. It's only they're second only to the Pistons of remaining playoff teams in offensive rebounding. So that's definitely going to be a problem. It was a big problem that got us down 3-1 against the Celtics. We were able to clean that up a bit. But it's obviously it's a much bigger challenge in facing the Knicks, who's obviously a much bigger team. OG is someone that, I think at times can, really guard Embiid. I think we saw in the first series a couple years ago, especially in the fourth quarters when you put him on him and Embiid's a little more tired. Embiid can't jump anymore. He has no lift, so OG can out jump him. Obviously, he has, the speed advantage. He can stay in front of him. So especially in the fourth quarters when Embiid's a little, worn out, I get worried about them putting OG on him because, he's strong enough to, stick with him. Embiid's not going to, bully him the way he did Jaylen Brown. And then he can stay in front of him and, kind of force him into tough jumpers, which, late in game, Embiid is likely to, take more of a jumper than kind of take it to the rim. So worried about that. So we'll see, if Embiid, how his conditioning holds up, if he gets more healthy. I think the bench is obviously a big disadvantage. You talked about Shamet, McBride, and Mitchell Robinson, Clarkson, just to name a bunch of guys. We pretty much have nobody to come off the bench. If Grimes isn't scoring, we pretty much don't have any bench production. Hopefully Drummond can give us some better minutes than he did in Game 7 because those 6 minutes that he played were awful. I think he was at -10 in those 6 minutes. So, I think the Knicks have the advantage on the bench. They'll be able to spell, Brunson and Cat and those guys some more time than we will be able to afford our guys, which is, another reason why Daryl Morey has to go. Because if only we had, a guard that can maybe give Maxey a couple minutes on the bench, but it's neither here nor there. So with all that being said, I think I'll take the Knicks in 7. I'm hoping we can compete a little more than we did a couple years ago. Um, but yeah, Knicks are a better team. It's not really the Brunson Cat duo I'm necessarily worried about. It's Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, OG. Mikal looked like he kind of started to get into a bit of a rhythm towards the end of that Atlanta series. I think their bench is going to outperform our bench, which every team's bench usually outperforms our bench. And I just think it's going to put a lot of pressure on Embiid and Maxey and VJ and Paul George. VJ and Paul George specifically are going to have to step up. Kelly Oubre is going to have to step up. They didn't shoot the three well against Boston. I mean, they got him up a lot, made some big ones in the last 3 games, obviously, but still, it wasn't a masterclass offensively from the Sixers. Hopefully they can keep up that intensity defensively. I think it'll be a tougher challenge. Brunson's he's gonna be seeking out Embiid on pick and roll damn near every possession. Embiid, like I said, he's not great defending in space. Wants to play a lot of drop coverage. If he has to switch on the perimeter, that's gonna be scary. Cat space in the floor, kind of worries me. Like I said, Mitchell Robinson's, one of the best Embiid defenders, I think, if he stays out of foul trouble. So I think a big key will be, Embiid, if we want to have success, I want some nasty flopping. I'm not gonna lie. I want 3 fouls in 2 minutes type flopping. That's gonna be pretty much the only chance that we have to win this series. But I expect it to be a fun series. It's gonna be toxic. But like I said, I'll take Knicks in 7.
Why you don't just say 6 and 7? You don't believe that for real. You're not gonna get me. You're not gonna play this game.
I just said how I feel. Now I can root for my team and talk shit.
You're a realist. You're a realist.
But
and I think that's what it
is.
Because you go Knicks in 7, and then Lord, let y'all get one.
I'm going to be hyped. Yes, I'm a fan.
I cannot wait. It'll be a great series. I like that you touched on OG Anunoby. Real X factor. I think he's a real X factor in this series.
Yeah, some of the best playoff games I've ever seen a couple years ago when we played y'all. Some of the worst losses I've ever experienced as well.
Boy, Josh Hart found a jumper in this series now. That's what I need. It'll be fun, man.
He's gonna get about 10 offensive rebounds to give y'all extra chances. So somebody gotta make something.
Hey, man, we'll see. I hope that my Knicks can take care of business, man. I think this is a real prime opportunity, for the Knicks. I'll say though, I truthfully did prefer Boston over you guys. Like, even though
I bet you did prefer them white boys just sitting out in the corner just shooting threes.
For all the things you said, that's cool, but it's like the main thing is y'all got 2 guys that are at any given moment. I mean, they 2 of the top 3 scorers.
Need more than 2 guys to win a series.
Sometimes, but I mean, I've seen those Embiid nights against the Knicks. I've seen them. So I don't want to.
I've seen them too. And they still result in L sometimes. Other people got to come along for the party. So we'll see.
I hope they stay. I hope they stay home. But we're gonna see, man. The playoffs are upon us. It's gonna be nonstop action. So, you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna drop this thing for you guys. Every game, it's gonna be a game. Two games every day moving forward until we get to the semi. So we'll see how we look, man. We'll see how Nell and I's predictions unfold. Like I said, looks like we on the same side outside of Spurs Wolves. So. Well, in terms of predictions here, but Spurs will. So we'll see all of those. We'll see what Knicks Sixers first, and then we'll roll from there, man. But that's gonna do it for this episode of 2 for 2, man. We hope that you all continue to rock with us. We're gonna keep doing this for you guys in each and every week. You know where to find us on all social media platforms at 2 for 2 Pod, all streaming platforms and services at 2 for 2 Pod as well. Get us on the YouTube, man. Run those YouTube views up. I was looking the other day. I know y'all want to see our faces. Go look at that YouTube. I know you can play it in the car, but turn that YouTube on. You miss some of the fun. We got, Sporting It, Nell and I here on there together. But, that's going to do it. It's season 4, episode 38, 2 for 2 Pod. Keith and Nell, we out.